Hello, I'm Peter Kessler. On October 10th, 1999, I was sitting on the little steps behind the 18th green at the Old Course as Payne Stewart finished up his match in the then Dunhill Cup. And Payne came and sat down beside me, and it was a beautiful afternoon in the fall. And he said, I've got some traveling to do the rest of October. I'm working on a golf course, but we'll both be in Orlando in November, so why don't we play some golf, and let's do your show, have some dinner, get drunk, and you can take me home. And he said, and remember, we have all the time in the world. And 2 weeks and 1 day later, he was gone. Let's spend some time with Payne Stewart.
There's no place like home. No place like home to win, that is. Was that going through the mind of this champion when he won his first PGA Tour victory at the course where he lives? His wife and daughter watched the victory from their home near the 12th tee. Ultimately, Payne Stewart birdied the 18th hole to win over David Frost by 3 strokes. In an incredible gesture of goodwill and sportsmanship, he donated the winner's check of $108,000 to the Florida Hospital Golden Circle of Friends home in memory of his father, who had passed away 2 years before. I just wish you could have found something to wear.
This is as good as I could come up with, Peter.
It's a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you. It's nice to be on the show.
Tell me about the checklist for life and golf that your dad left, really with your wife to check on you.
Well, he wrote he wrote this, I guess it was a lesson that he gave to Tracy, unbeknownst to me, for her to watch when I was out practicing. It said, watch his feet, and on his 7, 8, and 9 iron pitching wedge, he never wanted to see the club, never wanted to see the face shut. Always keep the face open going through, because he wanted the shot to kind of fall a little bit from left to right. And just it was a slight little checklist, and one, it's kind of emotional, but for our anniversary one year, my wife had it framed and gave it to me, and it now sits in my golf room where I work on my clubs.
What a neat thing to be able to see, as much as you obviously still miss your dad.
I wish he could have seen some of the things that I've done.
He'd have been awfully proud, wouldn't he?
I think so.
He got to see, though, the early wins. While they weren't in the U.S., though, he got to see the things and become aware of the things that took place outside of the United States before you made your mark here, didn't he?
I think he knew what my ability was. The tournament that sticks out the most in my mind as probably my most special victory would be the 82 Quad Cities, which he was at. He was there with me, and we cried a little bit together after I won the tournament, and it was pretty special.
Hey, that's what makes it all worthwhile when you can share it with your family like
Sure,
that.
sure.
In a major championship, a brilliant final round by a man finishing well ahead of the leaders can give all those who still have golf to play plenty to think about. Johnny Miller did it at the 73 Open, Nicklaus at the Masters in '86. So it would be at the PGA Championship at Kemper Lakes in 1989, when Payne Stewart's birdie barrage helped him set the target score. Mike Reed felt the suffocating pressure of a major and succumbed to it. No one ever said that golf was a fair game. It wasn't meant to be. As one man wept, another rejoiced over his great play and wonderful luck. You remember this day, Payne?
Yeah, this looks like the 16th hole, birdie putt. It had a big left to right breaker. That was a special day. That was a good day. Good day. That one will always, I'll always remember that one.
Is there any young boy who fell in love with golf that didn't practice 5-footers and say, this is for the U.S. Open? There can be no more important championship to an American than the United States Open. To win, you must be a superb driver of the ball, possess a laser-like iron game, a surgeon's touch on and around the greens. You must also be a great manager of the course, the conditions, and of yourself. When Payne Stewart won the U.S. Open in 1991, after an 18-hole playoff with Scott Simpson, he had conducted a 90-hole clinic, displaying every character trait and shot-making skill that the U.S. Open reveals in its champions.
It was a tough day, but my score at the end of the day was lower than his, and that meant I won the championship, and they'll never be able to take that away from me. And my game was ready enough to win the U.S. Open that week. Now, the bunches afterwards, you'd like to think that winning a U.S. Open would continue to, you'd just build on it. Yeah, you'd like to believe that.
Was that the week that you were most proudest of you?
Yes. The PGA was my first major, and it was, I'm not going to say it was tainted. The media tainted it for the fact that Mike Reed's collapse, and I backed into it. So the media says. The PGA, the U.S. Open in '91, I was tied or leading every day of the tournament, and yes, our scores on Monday in the playoff were not outstanding scores. I think I shot 75 and Scott shot 77.
But the course was harder every day.
You don't understand how hard that golf course was on that day. I mean, it was out of control, hard golf course, and that tournament probably meant more to me in self-gratification, just because nobody could take that away from me. Nobody could say that I backed into it. Nobody could say that any of these things happened that the way that they said a little bit about the PGA. You know, it's still low score wins. I don't care when you post your score. That's the great thing about golf. It's not over until the last putt sunk, and that's the lowest score.
I don't think anybody who saw you win that year will forget how you did it, the class you displayed after you won it, and the greatness you showed going down the stretch, not only on Monday, but on Sunday to get into the playoff. Not only you feel that way about you.
It's not who you lose to. I mean, you hate the same thing. The same situation that happened at Houston with Scott Hope, same situation that happened at a Memorial with Paul. You know, here I am. I've got a one-shot lead playing the last hole. I've hit it. You know, and I don't need to see this again. Miss! Oh, it went in again. I can't believe it. So I play a great shot out to the best that I can do, and I've got about an 8-footer. And now I'm preparing myself to make this 8-footer to win the golf tournament. I'm psyching myself up. All right, you got to make this putt to win this golf tournament. You got to, and I'm lining it up, and Zinger's in that bunker going. All of a sudden he goes like this, and I'm okay. You got to make this putt to line. And this ball's rolling, and it's rolling, and it's rolling. It's going in, and it went in. And now all of a sudden I'm going, you got to make this putt to tie. And I didn't make it, and then I missed the next one, which was irrelevant because, you know, who remembers? Who
finished third.
Yeah.
Right. What'd you learn different about your buddy Zinger while he was sick?
It put a different perspective on my life. I know it definitely put a different perspective on his life. All of a sudden, you know, golf isn't everything in my life. I mean, I have a beautiful family. I have a wonderful wife and 2 lovely children. And if I on the way home, something would happen and I can't play golf again, hey, I've had a wonderful career, but I want to be able to spend the rest of my life with my family and raise them the best that I can and give them all the love that I can. And that's one thing that Paul taught me, that, you know, golf isn't everything. And when you're all of a sudden you have to look at life as, you know, God's going to call us home sometime. And Paul thought he was going to be called home early, and it didn't work out like that, which thank God for that. You know, God decided Paul needed to spend a little more time down here with us because he's got some more better things to do. But hey, you know, I'm going to a special place when I die, but I want to make sure that my life's special while I'm here. And when I'm done here, then my time's done.
The golf world is mourning the death of U.S. Open champion Payne Stewart and 5 others. Now comes the investigation into one of the most unusual incidents in U.S. aviation history today, Tuesday, October 26, 1999.